This is a clip from an earlier live stream. I know you're going to like it, so the link to the full video is down below. Check it out. I'll see you over there.
You know, I was trying to think, is this her attempt to somehow bring Trump into the fold? Because she's aware just how much danger she is in now with the lawsuit. You know, she was desperately trying to get Trump to come out and speak on this months back after it launched. You know, she was saying this is a free speech issue. Where's Trump? Where's JD Vance? They would not take the bait. Yeah, I don't know. You know, this is where, to go back to your question of you know, is the tip line her greatest opposition? In some ways, I think we are seeing that her audience will be her undoing. Not because they're actively undermining her, but because they're actually building her up.
I can dig that. Yeah.
You know, I think this is, you know, you can only kind of live in this like conspiracy crackpot land so long until eventually you end up like Alex Jones, where there's real world consequences for the things that you're saying. And yeah, I think we will see that with Candace. I think we're inevitably going to see her implode on a massive grand scale. And then she'll eventually rebuild and start doing it all over again.
No, I can. And I was actually going to ask you, where do you think this is going to go? But let me ask you a different question. Why do you think so many, I'm sure you've seen the other conservative, right-leaning, pro-Trump content creators that are not addressing Candace directly? And then my second follow-up question is, do you think they need to address her directly? So those are my two questions.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny when you like people look up to these commentators and influencers and they believe that they're authorities, you know, and that they're kind of like, you know, speaking against the government and that they're brave and courageous. You know, I really don't think it's that different to high school, where I do think that like Candace Owens is like the queen bee mean girl. And I think these commentators are terrified because she has a path of just like ruining people, and because she has zero morality, and she will absolutely lie. She will absolutely, you know, go full hardcore, like, you know, against anyone that comes into her crosshairs. I think people are terrified of her. And I think also she has a massive audience. And as messed up as that is, that gives her legitimacy in today's world. So people don't want to burn that bridge, you know. So I think it's a simultaneous thing. If she has this massive audience, she has a cult-like following, and, you know, she's someone who will absolutely go after anyone if they cross her. But also she's incredibly popular. So, you know, that also suits people to be able to tap into that audience and to keep her on side. Yeah, you know, whether they should go after her. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is the whole thing for me. It's just over the past few years, every single argument that people made against the mainstream media and corporate news, and how biased it was, and how it was, you know, deceitful, fake news, all of these complaints.
For sure.
I mean, all of it now can be easily pointed towards alternative media. And I think especially with Candace Owens, there is no one in mainstream media or the corporate press who is doing anything as horrendous as Candace Owens is. And the fact that there's all these people also in alternative media who are defending her and not calling her out, I think is, you know, yeah, I think it really is, you know, it says a lot about these people.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100%. All right, let's talk about, if you don't mind, Mr. Livingstone. You have a little bit of a problem going on, and I would like you to let the audience know about it. A little bit of shenanigans happening related to you directly, and I don't know if the audience knows specifically about it. I'd love for you to tell them a little bit about what's going on with you and give them an opportunity to understand what you might be asking from them.
Oh yeah, so Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I started making content on Candace through Andrew Tate, and I mean that's because they're friends. Her husband is close, longtime friends with Andrew Tate, and how that started was, I started making videos on COVID and criticizing the COVID response, and from then I started to dig into other subjects, and one of them was Andrew Tate, just because I saw so many people in the circles that I was in at the time who were embracing Andrew Tate.
Right.
And the more I looked into him, the more I was disgusted by what I found. By the time he was then arrested and indicted for human trafficking and other horrible crimes in Romania, I started to get to know more and more. But it was really the Tucker Carlson interview where I believe that I caught him actively lying to Tucker about what he was charged with. And also it was an indictment of Tucker, because Tucker, either he was a completely incompetent interviewer and reporter because he didn't bother to do 2 minutes research to find out what Tate was charged with, because he didn't push back, or he was somehow, possibly complicit in allowing Tate to spin a narrative. But anyway, that led me to make my first video on Andrew Tate and exposing him. And it was basically just like a best of video of him, what he was charged with. But also the fascinating thing about Andrew Tate, especially as a video editor, is that he seemingly has a years-long trail of videos where he self-snitched to the crimes that he was then charged with, which is incredibly fascinating. It's incredibly fascinating to potentially have someone who's charged with human trafficking, who then in the past taught courses on how to human traffic with that exact same method they were then charged with. That's really fascinating. So anyway, I've spent years covering Andrew Tate, his criminal cases, and making videos exposing him. And it was me and several other people, and we would bounce information off back and forth here and there.
For sure.
It was March this year that he then launched a lawsuit against me and these others who are all on Twitter, who've all been covering his ongoing criminal cases. And so he's suing us for defamation, and he's claiming that we're part of a conspiracy to defame him. And so that's been going on since March, and we've had several court hearings as that's been progressing. He's suing us in Florida. It's a very bizarre criminal case. I'm in Australia, as we've spoken about. A lot of the people,
and he's not from Florida.
He's not from Florida.
That is interesting.
Live in Florida, But apparently, because one of the defendants is in Florida, that then gives its jurisdiction, because people in Florida saw social media posts about him. So that then means that it can be apparently anchored in Florida. That's one of the arguments that's being used to try and get this thing thrown out. The lawsuit is crazy. I believe it's absolutely frivolous, and I believe that it's his attempt to get revenge on those of us that exposed him and managed to actually undermine his fake narrative about his criminal cases. I think we've seen that over the past couple of years. He's absolutely lost popularity. He started to become welcome in, I think, some serious circles with people who actually have reputations and influence.
I got you.
And I think as more and more the truth about his allegations and who he really is, he's been pushed more and more to the fringe. And I think now I believe he's pretty much culturally irrelevant at this point. So this is an attempt to get revenge, I believe, against those of us that have successfully exposed him.
I know you liked that episode. This is actually a clip from a larger live stream. The link is down in the description, so you can go check it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you down there. Grace and peace.